Welcome to the Robert Down Auditorium. We have a wonderful evening for you, for all of you political enthusiasts. I just want to give you a little bit of background. My grandfather, his principal was Robert Down, and he graduated with Robert Down's son. This is my love letter to the generations that are buried out. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce our co-moderator for tonight, and he'll go ahead and introduce our co-moderators, our students, with the PG ambassadors of Pacific Road. Dennis Moore, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Darla. We certainly want to acknowledge Principal Emily for allowing us to use these facilities here, and to Amy Miller, the president of the PTA, and Darla Vining, who has been the principal PTA organizer of this. We have a lot of candidates and issues that we're going to talk about tonight. And the way it's going to occur is that for the different jurisdictions, and we have 4 plus or 5, including the bond measure, each of the candidates will receive a 2-minute opening statement. And then there will be questions, some of them asked by our students. And after those round of questions, which the candidates will have 1 minute to answer, then they will have 1-minute closing statements. This being a school, people are seated in alphabetical order. And unlike some of the other forums you might be familiar with, they did not draw randomly. And this is for the same reason that teachers like people sitting in alphabetical order. It helps me keep track of what's going on. So the opening group will be the candidates for the Pacific Grove Unified School District. We have 3 candidates, 3 candidates for two areas. 2 of the candidates are running in a contested area, and Beth Shamas is running in a uncontested area. So we'll begin with Marie, and she'll have 2 minutes for the opening statement. Then we will go down to Mike and then to Beth for their opening statements. Marie?
Good evening, my name is Marie Hunter. I'm a mom of a middle schooler here in PG. I own a technology and service business for construction and real estate industry. I'm running for Pacific Grove School Board because I believe in the future where every child has the opportunity to thrive, and every dollar spent on education maximizes our students' success. Drawing on my 27 years of experience in making good use of money, I will apply the same ethics and common sense values to the review of school budgets to benefit students. Our district faces significant financial decisions that affect every classroom and every student. We are running an annual deficit, and according to the California Policy Center Financial Risk Scale, the district rates an F. This is very concerning. Although the district is expecting additional property tax revenue, in the short term, we have to mitigate the escalating expenses in the next decade. I plan on encouraging the board to implement a 30-year financial strategy to get back on track and ensure that every dollar directly supports our students' learning experiences. I believe in fostering an inclusive environment that recognizes, support the diverse needs of our students, including the ability for struggling students to catch up grade level, but also for high-achieving students to be challenged. For example, I would like to see a volunteer tutoring program at the middle school during the current after-school supervised homework hour to help kids achieve their highest potential. By ensuring that every child has the resources and encouragement he or she needs to excel, along with firm policies to address repeat bullying incidents, we can provide an environment for all students to thrive.
Thank you. I unfortunately forgot to introduce Beth Benoit, who we won't say when she was a student here, but it was a while ago. And she is the timer this evening. She's putting up these little paddles, which will show you 1 minute, 15 seconds, and then stop. Thank you. So next, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Wax, and I'm running for Pacific Grove School Board Trustee. I am proud to be endorsed by the Monterey County Democrats and the Pacific Grove Teachers Association. Our teachers have my full support, and I'm honored to have theirs. For over 20 years, I have worked in design and marketing for state government, the Phoenix Suns, Beyonce's official fan club, ad agencies, and media companies. I'm now doing the work I most love, being a stay-at-home dad. My wife Stephanie and I moved to PG in 2021, drawn by the excellent schools. We have 2 kids, Iris and Harry, who are in 1st and 5th grade at Forest Grove. Our district strives for a culture of we through belonging, safety, and prosperity. As a Jewish person, dad of 2 kids who are deaf and hard of hearing, and the son of a gay man, I understand the importance of inclusion and the pain of discrimination. I believe in creating a safe, welcoming environment for all students, regardless of their background or identity. I also believe and have experiences in fighting for kids to have the resources they need to thrive and succeed. We used to live in Texas and learned early on that hearing aids were not covered by insurance there. This was unfathomable to us, so our family got to work organizing, phone banking, creating social media campaigns. I submitted public testimony and wrote editorials. Our 3-year-old Iris walked around the Capitol in her little cowboy boots, shaking hands with lawmakers from both sides of the aisle, mostly Republican. It took lots of hard work, and after 2 legislative sessions, we won. This small group of families beat the liberal insurance lobby, who has a lot of money and power. Hearing aids for all people under 18 are now covered by insurance in Texas. This is the kind of work I believe in. Civilization is a team sport. We all win in a culture of we. That's why I'm running for school board. My campaign prioritizes a student-centered approach, supporting educators, community engagement, board accountability, and being creative and opportunistic in securing resources and experiences for all of our students. It's my attempt to create the schools, community, and society I believe everyone deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth.
Good evening. My name is Beth Shamas, and I am representing the new trustee area 4. I was the only one to put in my name for this current election, so I'm in, I guess. My name is not even appearing on the ballot, so I'm assuming I'm in. My background is I grew up in Pacific Grove. I was on the school board from 1997 to 2009, so that was 3 different terms. And I loved being on the school board. I know a lot of people roll their eyes and say, oh my God, I don't want to do that. But every moment that I spent on the school board, I really enjoyed it. We had a lot of challenging times. When I first got elected, it was, I mean, some of you may remember this, but there was all this recall talk, and then they paused that, and so it was a very contentious time to be on the board. And I was coming in not knowing anybody else on that board. And so it was really a great learning experience to come together and have these 5 people with 5 different viewpoints come together and settle on what was best for our district, our kids, our staff, and how we could work together. And I was so proud that that happened. And so anyway, coming back to the school board again, I hope to be a partner of with the rest of the trustees and really getting them together. And it's okay when we don't agree. It's normal to not agree. But the stakes are too high to not get to some kind of consensus? Thank you.
The questions for the PG school board candidates are going to be asked by Pacific Grove High School seniors. I will ask them to come up and introduce themselves, and if they would talk about where they went to elementary school and middle school and high school as a way of introduction. So first, we have Meredith.
Hi, my name is Meredith Evans. I've lived in Pacific Grove my whole entire life. I went to Robert Down and then Pacific Grove Middle School, and now I'm a senior at Pacific Grove High School. My question is, how do you see yourself working towards the collective good when other trustees disagree with your position? Or what are your thoughts on compromise and consensus building among the board members when disagreement occurs?
Not to completely steal Beth's answer, but I believe the stakes are too high to kind of not do anything and deflect. I think we must find consensus and some sort of solution for our kids and our community because the stakes are simply too high. I think there's especially in a financial predicament or situation where we find ourselves, the inclination is to say chop everything, strip out the programs. But that also cuts out your community. It ruins what kids need to succeed. So I don't think cutting out everything is the solution. I think we need to dream bigger and have a bigger vision for education.
Yes, well, one of the ways that you come to consensus is it's so important to go to trainings. And in the past, recent past, the Pacific Grove School Board has not really participated in board trainings. And you know, it's easy to think when you're all very nice with each other that things are going well. But you need more than that. You do need to go to trainings. You need to find ways that work for the specific individuals that comprise your board. And I think that's just the key to it. Is like, you know, of course you're going to hopefully respect each other, but it's a little more than that. It's got to be kind of you have your board protocols, and it's so important to focus on that as a way to move forward.
I guess I've been in plenty of confrontational type situations, you know, in my construction industry career. And I feel like I'm the type of personality that can work almost with everyone. I'm a very balanced, non-emotional mind, and I see people's perspective often a lot more than perhaps my peers. And so I always evaluate kind of the same way I do in my engineering kind of mind, is that I look at the plus and minuses and without my biases. And I think that's the best training I think I've had to date, is having to deal with really difficult personalities in construction.
The next question will start with Beth, and then Marie, and then Mike, and it will be asked by Olivia.
Hello, I'm Olivia. I'm a senior at Pacific Grove High School. I was born in Salinas. I was born and raised in Pacific Grove. And the question is, as of course funds are limited, how would you prioritize student learning in small class size versus expenditures like fencing at some sites, school resource officers, and campus supervisors?
The age-old question. You know, your budget reflects the priorities of the district. And in that way, when you are building consensus, and you're doing that with your staff, you're not just doing it with the board members, thank you. You have to decide on your priorities. And you know, different things have come up, and we went through COVID. As a result of COVID, we realized that there was a need for more mental health support, and the budget gets adjusted for that. Now, you have to, something else comes out when that goes in. But those are the priorities that you make every meeting. You're looking at those kinds of things, and it's always a balancing act.
Going back to my experience in construction, I've been looking at a lot of bids. I actually, for 8 years of my life, I was an estimator doing some pretty heavy concrete work in San Francisco. And there's a lot of traps and quotes and things like that, and I would love to be able to scrub and have more competitive bids on some of the work that we have done for the school. I think that's a big part of it. And also, because of the pandemic, just like Beth said, we've included some services that I think in long term are not supposed to be part of the educational program. I think we've steered from that. And when you have to make hard decisions, you got to go back to the core value of what it is to be an educator and not take on all the problems of society. Fortunately, you have to make those hard calls.
How do we prioritize our educational needs? I think we have to focus on the classroom and making sure that class sizes are small enough to have individualized relationships with your teachers and trusting relationships. But we also need community influence. I mean, all of the school board's meetings are open. The community weighs in on what is important and what is not to a certain degree as well. I think with budget issue, we also need to look beyond just slashing budgets, as I said earlier, but look at greater sources of revenue. Pacific Grove does have a housing plan that requires 1,100 more housing units. That is how our district is mostly funded. So more property taxes increases that our budget. And with the bond, we can provide renovations to our district's buildings, 50% of which are over 50 years old.
Thank you. The third question will be asked by Reese.
Hi, my name is Reese. I grew up in Pacific Grove my whole life. I've gone through the school district my whole life. And my question for you is, what are your thoughts on the new culture of we? Can you please speak to how that resonates or does not resonate with you?
So what she referred to as the culture of we is the prosperity, safety, and there's a third one that I can't quite remember right now, and belonging. And this is, I'm really happy that we've taken on this kind of cultural viewpoint of what the school needs to be. Safety-wise, I think we have, in my view, some work to do when it comes to bullying and making the kids feel really included. We've all been through bullying, and I think that it's an ugly side of becoming, also, especially a teenager. That happens a lot. We've all been through that. But I think we have to do better when it comes to putting some firmer policies and make sure that kids are not being bullied repeatedly. So that would be the way that I would address both belonging and safety. Prosperity, I'm hoping that I can bring in some talent from the Silicon Valley in construction to help build some career opportunities for some of the kids.
As I mentioned earlier, the culture of we is something that I believe in and is fundamental of a great community, a great city, and hopefully a great society. It's really about making people feel comfortable in their own skin and feeling safe. As Marie mentioned, prosperity, belonging, and safety are key to the core values of PGUSD. So, as I mentioned, my personal experience, I think we have to take into account the fact that health issues have been on the rise since roughly COVID, and we need to maintain funding for those so our kids don't leave the district and PGUSD keeps that funding and being a safe environment for all.
During the past year, the district has really worked hard on the culture of we, And if anyone really wants to look that up on the district's website, we have a really good information, and our superintendent does a very good job of introducing it to the public. So I totally support it, and I feel very proud of the district for going through the process, because it was really a little bit painful that you had to look at some of your own little failings and, hurts. So I really support how they have put this together, and now going forward, the most important thing will be to evaluate it. That's what I find happens a lot with schools, is we start good and then it doesn't necessarily get evaluated later on. So that would be what I would be wanting to support.
Thank you. Now we're at closing statements, and we will start with Beth, then Mike, and then Marie. And this would be 1 minute. I should add that these candidates those who win the elections will be serving 4-year term.
Well, first of all, thank you to Robert Down PTA for sponsoring this. I know it's a lot of work, and I really appreciate having the students here. And so I'm happy that I'm going to be back on the board again. I know I don't have to advocate for your vote, but I will act like I need your vote for sure, because I am open to hearing from the community, and I think our community is proud of our district as well, and so we want to keep that solid. That's an important piece of why this district is attractive, is, we have that support from the citizens of Pacific Grove. I also want to thank the students behind me here, and I'd like to know what they think about the culture of WE too.
To echo Beth's sentiments, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for the RHD PTA for organizing, as well as the co-moderators. Again, my campaign prioritizes a student-centered approach to learning that really gives a passion for education, supporting educators, community engagement, board accountability, where, like Beth was saying, we create and fund programs, but we also are sure to keep track of measurements, of metrics, to see if we're doing good and where we adjust and where some programs might fail and how to continue on. And we also have to be creative and opportunistic in securing those resources and experiences for all students. Bullying is a problem, but in terms of big issues, mental health is, according to California Healthy Kids Survey, is a much bigger issue. So I think we have to focus on that and teacher engagement to get a good curriculum going.
I think some of the issues that we're having with the mental health in our society right now stems from just the usage of electronic devices. We've become a society that just seems to rely too much on these devices, and we need to talk to each other a lot more. And one of the things I noticed when I was campaigning, knocking on doors, is everyone can pitch in a little bit of something to understand like what's going on in their kid's life. I know my child, when she's on a device for too long, there's attitude issues that happens, and I think we need to all recognize that we have to do something about that. We don't want to just say we want to keep mental health, but we need to cure the problem, and I'm all for that. So lastly, I just want to say I'll bring a fresh perspective and steadfast commitment to both fiscal responsibility and educational excellence. I ask for your support. Together we can make a positive difference in the lives of our students and the future of our community.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you. We now have a candidate for the Monterey Peninsula College District that covers, okay, we only, there are 2 candidates for the MPC area that covers Pacific Grove. One of them was unable to make it, so we will hear an opening statement of 2 minutes from Debbie Anthony, and then that will conclude her presentation.
I'm kind of changing it based upon the students who are behind me. I am also a graduate of Pacific. I'm also a graduate of Pacific Grove High School, so I feel like, you know, one of you guys are part of me. So I'm taking care of my younger, you know, classmates. And I am, as I said, a graduate of Pacific Grove High School, graduate of Pacific Grove Junior High School. However, in terms of this particular district that I'm representing New Monterey, which happens to be where I was raised on Huckleberry Hill. I'm a Huckleberry Hill child. And I was born in Monterey at the old hospital in 1948. So I've been here forever. My parents came here in 1938. And so this is like my home. So when Darla was talking about her family and the history, I mean, I understand. When she choked, that's exactly how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like as I'm going back to being a child and never even dreaming that I would ever be sitting up here, you know, with my community and the memories of, you know, my family and with my present day, you know, friends and colleagues. And I say that because my colleagues are Monterey Peninsula College faculty and staff, because I was part of them for 40 years. For 40 years, I was a counselor and an instructor at Monterey Peninsula College, coming from an education that included Monterey Peninsula College, and also the University of California, and also the University of Michigan, but all of that with the support of my education through the Pacific Grove school system and the Pacific Grove High School and the students and the faculty and staff that just kind of made it possible for me to be sitting here right now. So my statement that I want to read to you says, I'm thanking all of you who voted for me to be your representative on the Board of Trustees for Monterey Peninsula College for the past 4 years. I think I'm the first African, well, I know I'm the first African American representative from District 4, because that is a new district, to serve on this board. I think I'm also the first African American probably in Pacific Grove to ever be elected to a political position. So I thank you for giving a native Monterey County resident and a graduate of Pacific Grove High School and Monterey Peninsula College an opportunity to serve and return the trust and confidence in electing one of your own to this position of power in higher education. My 39 years as a member of the Monterey Peninsula College faculty giving me support in my election to this seat has given me additional advantage and insight into the management, development, and knowledge of meeting goals and objectives of Monterey Peninsula College over the past 4 years. My desire for a second term is to complete promises made to you and my constituents, always keeping in mind the mission of Monterey Peninsula College to meet the needs of its students to succeed and ensure success in achieving their educational goals. My personal success has been the privilege to carry out these responsibilities in the county in which I was born and educated, which is District 4. Thank you for your continued support and affirmation, and for voting and supporting me.
Thank you. Measure B is a bond measure that would benefit Pacific Grove Unified School District. Speaking about Measure B will be the Superintendent, Dr. Linda Adamson, and she will introduce her colleagues.
Well, good evening, first of all. I'd like to start by just saying thank you to our Robert Down PTA for this opportunity for hosting this evening. I do want to congratulate our candidates who've already spoken this evening. You did a masterful job, and just wonderful to hear from our youth ambassadors. You're doing an incredible job at facilitating with the questions, so nicely done. It was a pleasure for us to be given this opportunity this evening to speak to the bond. At this time, I don't turn down any opportunity to give more information because we're answering so many questions within the community, and so I'm grateful for this opportunity to really just speak to it, even though it's just a brief amount of time. And knowing that I really had limited time, what I decided to do was really just take the top 5 commonly asked questions and answer those for all of you this evening to provide a little bit more background information. I do want to, just preface everything I'm going to say by saying that as an employee of the district, I'm here this evening as your superintendent to merely give information. I'm not here to encourage you to vote one way or the other. It really is to ensure that you have all of the facts you need, so when you go to the polls on November 5, you do so and are able to make an informed decision. So that's really the purpose of this evening. And then when I am finished answering those 5 questions, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Hazen, who is our clerk on our current Board of Education, who will provide a little bit of additional information. So really, I think as I was thinking of the questions, the first one that comes to mind is a simple one. What exactly is Measure B? And so, I think the first piece that it is a $78 million general obligation bond measure that you will find on your ballot when you go to vote in November. Essentially, it is with that $78 million, that would give us, if passed, as a district, the opportunity to go about making critical renovations and improvements to our current and existing facilities and classrooms. It would require 55% approval of the ballots that are cast in order to be passed. And it would also give us the potential to qualify for state matching funds. That would be assuming the Prop 2, which is also going to be on the ballot, passes. But essentially what that would mean is, if passed, we would be able to double that $78 million, which we would use for the renovations we are seeking. So the second question, is a commonly asked one, is what exactly will the funds be used for? I think the first piece that I love, speaking to on this is, as I said earlier, it's that ability for us to improve and enrich our current programs. So when you're talking about expanding our science, our technology, our engineering, our arts and mathematical programs, otherwise known as our STEAM programs, this funding would be able to go specifically towards enriching and furthering those offerings for our students. I think when I think of that, I think also of our career technical educational programs, our CTE pathways and offerings, and think particularly of our culinary arts program as an example, and the ability for us to utilize that funding to really create more of a state-of-the-art facility, which we have an incredible teacher currently, an incredible program, but is, she's teaching that currently in a very subpar facility. So again, that would allow us to further and improve. It would also give us the ability to go about doing critical work on our replacing of deteriorating wiring that really is in need of repair across our district, across all of our school sites. And it would allow us to renovate and upgrade and modernize our current classrooms and existing facilities, which would also include safety improvements that are needed at all of our school sites right now. To give just critical facts about what the bond is really what the third question entails. So I think, what I would want you to walk away with this evening in knowing about the bond is that really the funds, a question that's asked often is how will we go about repaying and the funds that are given, that's $78 million. So essentially the funds would be repaid by, through a tax that comes from property taxes that you as property owners within the district are currently paying. An important critical fact to that is that it would not extend or increase, it would not increase the current tax that property owners are paying currently. It would simply extend the amount of time that you are paying those. And that is a critical factor that I really try to impart during conversations that we have. let's see, funds cannot be taken from the state, and I think that's an important piece. There's a misconception that if passed, the state would be able to come back in and either take some of those funds back or require that we spend it in other ways, and that is absolutely not the case. We as a district, if this measure is passed, we get to spend the funding as we need and as we have proposed and promised. And that is the final critical piece as well. I want everyone to know is that that funding can only be used on facility renovations and improvements and program improvements. And again, whatever we say we're going to spend that funding on, that is what we are held accountable to. So again, there's, sometimes there's a misnomer out there that we'll be using this funding on additional salaries. No, it is purely for program improvements, facility improvements, and renovations. On the topic of accountability, I think this is an important one. Really what I want all of you to walk away with this evening is that if passed, it will involve full public disclosures. We have independent audits that will take place throughout the period of time that we are using and spending those funds that essentially ensure that we are spending the funds in an appropriate way as we have promised. Added to that, there is an independent oversight committee which consists of citizens of Pacific Grove who are responsible and serve on that committee to once again report out to the board, report out to our community and oversee the spending of the funds and the approval of the project list that would be determined through our overall facility master's plan. And then in addition to that, I think that final important piece is that, the question that comes out often is, how will we go about determining exactly what those expenditures will be? And that's the beauty of this. If passed in November, we will get to work immediately as a district in beginning to build that master facilities plan. And that will involve engagement and input from the community, from all of you here this evening, from our students, from our staff, from our families, from our community members. We will be engaging you to really ask that question, what do you hope to see? What do you envision for improvements for our schools and for our district? And so the beauty about that is as we put together that plan, which we would bring forward to the board for approval in March or April of 2025, before going about and beginning the expenditure of those funds, that plan will involve and have the voice of every one of our community members within Pacific Grove. And so really the final question really that I receive a lot is where can we go to get additional information? A lot of that information is on the website. We have added an easy to access link on the landing page. And so I do encourage you to access all of that. There is a presentation on the page that speaks to Measure B, a recording of that really can answer a lot of additional questions that you might have, and I encourage you to visit that. So really, I think my closing statement before I hand it over to Dr. Hazen, and this truly is, it's an opportunity for us to re-envision our district. Together with you as the community, this is an opportunity for us to really build and envision that district and those schools that we would all hope to attend ourselves as students. And particularly in a district where, I personally know people move from across the state to live here, to bring their students to really take part and benefit from the incredible education that they receive here at Pacific Grove Unified School District. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Hazen to finish with some closing statements.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I want to start by apologizing for being late. I actually came from the mock trial club at PG High School, where they were talking about their trip to Clovis. And Clovis High School is one of the brand new facilities that basically is a shining star in their district. And it's one of the things that people come and notice when they go to Clovis. Granted, we're lucky to be here in PG, not in Clovis, but nonetheless, having that pride for our facilities is something that I think is really important. And the value that our facilities bring to the community is really remarkable. If you've looked at housing prices between here and some of our neighboring districts, it's clear a lot of that reason is because of the schools. So as a board member, and I would say more importantly, even as a parent, this is one of the most important aspects that I've viewed in my role on the board, is how do we leave these facilities better than when we started. And so this bond is really a great opportunity. As Dr. Adamson said, we're not just asking for a certain amount, but we have the ability to double that with state funding. So if this is something that passes, we do have the ability to make these schools look like how we want them to be. It's not rebuilding entire buildings, but hopefully getting rid of some of the modular buildings, getting rid of some of the things that At least my kid comes home and says, you wouldn't believe what I saw on the campus today. I heard the topic of fiscal responsibility come up from the board discussion quickly, and I just want to mention too, like, we do not have the amount of money to put forward to do the level of renovations from our annual budget. We are barely able to put aside the amount of money to do the repairs that are needed. All of you are facing the cost of inflation, increasing costs of home repairs, etc. That is the exact same thing we're facing as a district. So if we want to improve, not just keep putting Band-Aids on the district, Measure B is critically important. And I will say Prop 2 gives us the ability to take it just twice as far. Happy to answer questions, not now, but at a later date if anyone has any as a board member, as a parent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. We have 3 candidates for the office of mayor. It's a 2-year term, and we will have a 2-minute opening statement and then a round of questions with 1 minute to answer each, and then a 1-minute closing statement.
So my name's Dan Miller. Grew up in Pacific Grove from day one. Went to Forest Grove School. What at that time was the junior high school and then the high school, and also MPC, where I graduated in 1981. My kids just finished going to Robert Down. My youngest just finished and is now at the middle school. So I've spent a lot of time out there and less time up here. And now I know what their perspective is and why they got stage fright very often. So I've probably been to 25, 30 presentations in this room. And also, oddly enough, my mother, who turns 95 in November, went to school here and then was a secretary at Forest Grove School and Lighthouse School for many years. Some of you know her from that. And my uncles also went here. There's a brick out here. They did a fundraiser recently, and there's a brick with their names and my kids' names, which is kind of cool. So as far as the city's business, in my brochures, you can read most of it. In the ballot information that came out, there's candidate statements in there that have most of what my background is. I was a city council person. I was a planning commissioner. I've been to probably close to 1,000 meetings since 1990, which comes under the heading of Get a Life, Dan. But I think it's important to know and have a background, historically and institutional knowledge of why this city is like it is, what has happened in this city over the years, and that gives you an idea going forward how to plan with what's acceptable, where we've been, and not jumping the gun and jumping big hurdles, but kind of going at a slow, smooth pace in what we do. And as a representative of the people of Pacific Grove, also knowing why things are like they are, and not always having to rely on staff. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dion Ibarra, and I am happy to be here tonight. I've been a resident for 29 years. I have children from 9 to 33. And one thing about my life here that I think is important to bring to the table, especially as the leader of a mayor, is that my life has not fit in a box in this town. I came here as a young person, starting a life with a husband and small children, wanting to build our home and our future together. And life brings what it brings. And so the time I've spent here, I've been married, I've been divorced, I've been a single mother, I've raised kids, and I've started over raising children. And in that time, I've always worked where my children were the priority, and I got to, in many ways, work in areas that brought me fulfillment, but the fulfillment that I was always came back around to was serving people. My family were migrant field workers. My father died in Vietnam. And from that early childhood experience, I learned about civil rights, the rights of people, equity, accessibility. And so I've been able to frame all of my profession. In the last 15 years, I've been a nonprofit founder. I'm a small business owner. I've worked in here in Pacific Grove, I've been on the Rec Commission. I've also worked in appointed commissions for the county, the Civil Rights Commission, the Commission on the Status of Women. And through all of that, my life experience that never was able to fit in a box, it has been able to serve very diverse people and look at their intersects and how they intersect with not only their local city government, but their county and their state and their federal. And from that experience of working in global nonprofits overall, I really have been allowed the opportunity to use that perspective, and I want to bring that perspective here through our city government. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to try to get this mic so you can hear me. As Mayor Pro Tem and a council member for the past 8 years, I have learned how the city operates, what works from a policy perspective, and to listen and interpret the needs of the community. And we have made progress over the past 8 years in the areas of infrastructure, fiscal sustainability, environmental and coastline protection, and enhanced youth recreation. And I am running for mayor to continue the important work we have undertaken for the residents and lead the community in these and other important endeavors, such as an increased water supply, more housing units, and helping our local tourist economy. I'm also running to contribute positively to the community that I cherish and where I am raising my 3 daughters, one of which attends this very school. You see, all 3 of my daughters have attended Robert Down, so that has been it's been a great thing, and it's great to be here tonight. As mayor, I will work tirelessly to move Pacific Grove forward in its projects, both large and small, infrastructure, streets and sidewalks, and plans and policies. We need to complete what we set out to do, and to do so with efficiency. I believe I'm in the best position to move Pacific Grove forward because I have the knowledge and experience and the temperament to lead the community as mayor. While serving on the council, I have demonstrated a strong commitment to the community, a willingness to serve, and a track record of success. For example, I have supported an environment of respectful dialogue on the dais, worked well with others to achieve equitable solutions, sometimes requiring compromise on my part and those on others, and focused on finding positive solutions to challenges while avoiding interpersonal conflicts, and I think that's very important. I have learned so much from our residents, my colleagues, and all stakeholders involved in municipal government, and I want to use that knowledge to continue to make the community the best it can be.
And the first question will be asked by Debbie. Excuse me, Claire.
Hello there, my name is Claire Cossum. I'm here today as the president of the Youth Ambassadors of Pacific Grove. I moved here in 6th grade after living in North Carolina, and I've been involved in the arts since a young age, and specifically in band and choir and theater at the high school and the middle school. And my question today is, how would you plan to usher in more arts into the community in the coming future, such as the Battle of the Bands that used to take place right here in Pacific Grove on Pine Avenue? Thank you. You have 1 minute.
Remember the Battle of the Bands. Thank you for that question. I have been in the nonprofit that I'm the founder of. The arts have had a strong hold in what we do because I believe the arts are a way to communicate. I have one of my sons draws as an artist and a painter. One of my sons is a musician. So it was beautiful to have a life that I got to live through them, where I got to support them in all of the arts and get to be in a community full of arts. I have personally, my first small business was opened in Sand City, and Sand City historically is known for its music and arts festivals. But I was so excited to be there because I wanted to initiate how my nonprofit could be a part of that. And so we immediately were part of the Mural Festival. We had our own music festivals in front of our store. And so I love to think big in a way that the arts can provide enrichment to our community.
I believe in the arts as well. I come from a musical family, and we grew up watching my dad sing in concerts and things of that nature. I think there are 2 important ways we can help drive art in the city of Pacific Grove. I think one is that we can continue and to have a greater connection with the Arts Center, which houses many great artists. They have events there, we can publicize those better, and we can work with them to get that art out into the community. I've seen some great music there, some great sculptures, paintings, and things of that nature. So we have a great resource right downtown on Lighthouse there. And the second thing is I think we can bring art to our boards and commissions for bringing forward to the council. So if there is art that needs to be brought forward, we can liaise with the boards and commissions to find the appropriate channel by which we can have art displayed in the community. Thank you very much.
So for 40 years, I earned a living in music. I did shows, promoted shows with Ray Charles, with Robert Palmer, with Neil Young, George Strait, you know, you name it. So when you're talking about somebody doing stuff for culture and music and the arts, that was my life for 40 years. So bringing it to Pacific Grove is one of my, the highlights of what I can do and what I actually have experience doing. I did festivals out of the Monterey Fairgrounds. I did the Americana Festival, which brought Americana music there. I did the Bacon Fest, which not only brought bacon, but brought people like Willie Nelson's son, Lucas Nelson, for the first time to the Peninsula. So Chris Hillman from the Byrds, I mean, you name it, I did it, and I did it as a living. So if I actually had teed up a question, this probably would have been it, because I don't know who else in this town has as much experience. Thank you.
And the question will be asked by Reese.
Hello, my name is Reese. I've grown up here my whole life. My mom grew up here her whole life. We both went through the school district. I think one of the things that makes Pacific Grove so special is the sense of PG pride. And also, I think we all know that the cost of living is not low right now. So my question to you is, would you support a live where you work housing program for teachers and specialized workers? And how would you ensure that these are accessible to people just starting their careers?
I definitely support a live where you work housing program. It would, and I think that I don't think it would be easy, but I think it requires a partnership between the school district and the city. So, because we're gonna need land for it, we're gonna have to find the right location, then we're gonna have to budget for it and do things like that. So I would totally be open-minded into looking into that as an option. I think it's a great idea. It's something that I've talked about previously, workforce housing, which I believe is basically what the essence of the question is. And no, I mean, teachers would be obviously at the very, very top of my list for that. And I think we need to partner with the school district on that in order to make that happen. And so I would gladly partner with the school district on that issue. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what you were doing the past 8 years, but my wife's actually a teacher. So I kind of have a concept of this notion as to how much teachers take home as opposed to what they keep, or what they get paid as opposed to what they take home. And the concept that some of the biggest fields in this town are being underutilized, that are owned by the school district. We've basically closed 2 schools in this town. That to use some of those fields, and I'm not talking about overbuilding or anything, but to actually make some housing available for teachers, especially new teachers that are at the lower end of the income level and the pay level for teachers, makes all the sense in the world. I'd be very supportive of it. I think it should be part of when you go out for bond majors, that you're not just doing facilities for the kids, but those people that teach them to get the best teachers. Housing is a big incentive, and I believe that we should get together with whoever it takes to get it done.
Important question. I started my career as a teacher, and it was like, how are we going to teach and be here and be with the children? When I hear Nick talking about partnerships, really important to have the school district partnership. But also we can look to other nonprofit partners that work in housing that have templates for this. They're out there. It's being done in other communities, and I think that's what's important for us to do, is to expand our view and to see what other resources there are for us, again, regionally, grant-wise, perhaps state or federal level, that we can look to see where is the support for teachers, where we can work in partnerships in a greater way and really bring all of our assets to the table to support our young teachers and young families.
The next question will start with Dan Miller. and it will be asked by Olivia.
My question is about handling disagreements. When faced with a decision where public opinion is divided, how do you ensure your decision aligns with your leadership values while considering the community's needs?
Well, having lived here for 69 years, I think I kind of know a lot of the community needs. It's just addressing them, and in the past they haven't been addressed as well as they should. So as far as disagreements, you're always going to have disagreements, but you hope that you can come to a compromise that the majority, if not everybody, can find a plus in the agreement that's made. It's tough. I watched the roundabout and discussion, and every single person that got up said they didn't want it. 3 people out of the 7 on council said they didn't want it, but we had 4 that said they did, and so now we're still stuck in a boondoggle of a roundabout, which out there campaigning, I would say 90% of the people say they don't want the roundabout. So you need to have a little bit of knowledge, you need to have a little bit of common sense, and you need to have a pulse of the public and not just your own ideas.
Yeah, that's a thing. It was asked earlier in the other table as well, how we come together to bridge our differences. The one thing that we all have are intersects, where we cross over and we can hopefully agree on. And I think the most important thing that we have to do is look at where we intersect and look at those needs as the most important when we look at the overall constituents that we're serving. It is difficult, and I think one of the other problems that kind of comes out of this question is how do we bring more representation and diverse representation to our leadership, which I think is important so we can have a broader perspective where viewpoints may align perhaps in more ways, but also how are we going to get the diversity out there to come and speak on the dais? How do we get the voices of our students heard and listened to? How do we get parents who can't be here tonight? How do we get their voices heard? And there's some problem solving that needs to be done in that.
Good government is born in civil discourse. As I said in my opening, I've been doing this for 8 years on the council. I've been pursuing positive leadership since my first campaign in 2016 and remain civil on the dais. Even though we have many disagreements, we have to work through it. The only way we ensure good government is to hear all opinions on a topic and weigh and balance them and make the best decision that we can as a group. And we have to vote. So it could be 4-3, it could be 5-2, it could be 6-1, it could be 7-0. We've had all the counts recently, but what we have done, well, in my opinion, is have those disagreements in a civil manner. And I believe that is one of the most important things a government can do. And I think we're seeing that nationally. We need to pursue that. And I will, as mayor, I will work tirelessly to have that happen. Thank you.
Olivia, that sounded like a college essay application. Thank you for helping with the answers. Third question, we'll start with Dion, and it will be asked by Meredith.
Hi, my name is Meredith Evans. Growing up in Pacific Grove, I've been involved with many leadership activities like Youth Ambassadors of Pacific Grove and leadership classes at the middle school and high school. My question is regarding family-friendly initiatives. How would you promote our city as a more family-friendly community? And what specific initiatives would you champion to support working families and their children? You have 1 minute.
That ties into my last statement around how can we create more back and forth between our working families, our families with children, our diverse families, and be able to include them in our city government. And there are many ways that we can have initiatives that perhaps promote, again, I'm like throwing out ideas. How do we get, what are times that are better for parents? What are accessibilities for parents where they can be more involved? How can we, I want to be an accessible mayor, how can I get to them? How can I get into schools and create relationships and community So I can be a representative of that. And I think our elected officials can spend more time getting out to them so we can make a bridge. I think bridges are important. And we live in such a beautiful small town, and we have the opportunities to be able to get really close and personal with our families.
Obviously, this topic is near and dear to my heart. I have 3 children I'm raising in the community, and I realize the strain that people are under financially. I definitely realize that. I think what we can do is we can reach out to our families more. I think as a city, we can communicate with our families and let them know what programs we do have for families currently, and then perhaps reassess, do we need some more to help young families? I've heard a lot about childcare, and so that's something I would be willing to explore. And I've heard, obviously, youth programming, which we have taken measures in the last 2 years to create more youth recreation. So I think that's one area I see as really important is youth recreation, youth programming, getting out to the families, letting them know what we do have. Zoning and planning for more housing, for ADUs, for ways to ease the burden on families and get more housing units to thereby increase the supply. And the library truck that has the books to go out to people's homes and get books out to kids. Thank you.
$190,000, that's what the Recreation Board got more, the Recreation Department got more this past year than the previous year with no discernible increase in programs. That's unacceptable. When I was growing up, we had basketball leagues, softball leagues, slow pitch, fast pitch, co-ed. There were more leagues than you could imagine. We had a thing called the Green Goose, and a guy named Topper Arnett, that the Arnett Park is named after, that would go in and have after-school programs at all the schools, which would be easier now because we have less schools. The letdown of actually being family-friendly and recreation over the years has been absolutely incredible, and now is the worst it's been because all that money was given to them to increase programs by this current city council. So that there needs to be more oversight. There needs more to be done. My son plays golf, but there is no golf program during the summer for kids. My daughter plays tennis, same deal. So we just need to get more broad spectrum in having recreation programs for everybody.
Thank you. Now we're ready for closing statements. These will...
After 8 years of council service, I know the interests of our friendly and caring small town community. I believe in the preservation of Pacific Grove's history and character, and I believe in protecting and enhancing our beautiful coastline and urban canopy. I believe in supporting our local small businesses as well. I take these considerations to heart every day. I have 3 young daughters in the PG schools, which has brought me into contact with many great community members, teachers, administrators, and others. I have shown my commitment to caring about the relationship between the schools and the city by joining and being a part of the initial joint subcommittee between the school district and the city. Overall, I bring a balanced approach and broad perspective to issues facing the city and solutions to issues. My platform is addressing the needs of Pacific Grove, not any outside interests. I pledge to listen to varied viewpoints, have informed discourse on the dais, and make pragmatic and fair decisions based on all the information in front of me. Thank you very much.
This may be the first time, I'm guessing it's the first time that you actually have 3 mayoral candidates who also have children, who are like right now, like small young children, and I think that's a wonderful opportunity and a lens that we need to see through. It's important. But you have some choices. My experience as working in the environment, I look through everything through an environmental lens and how we're going to address climate action, and as well as people, and how do we combine climate action and people and lay that over fiscal responsibility, transparency, accessibility. And the experience that I've had professionally and through life, I believe can bring that perspective that we need to our city council. Thank you.
So the council is stewards of this community, of everything that exists in this community. They set policy as to what happens. That's what the council does, is they set policy. And sometimes they don't get it right. and sometimes they do. And too often recently, I think they got it wrong. And that's basically why I'm running, is I want to make sure that it starts getting righted, the ship gets righted. And rather than go about all the things that you can read in my brochures or in other places I've written, please be aware, on the other side of this country, there's another hurricane coming. There's a lot of people that are a lot worse off than we are in Pacific Grove that won't even have a concept of building a roundabout anytime soon. So I don't want to ask anybody for donations to me, and anything that I have left at the end of this election is going to go to the Red Cross. And so anybody that has the ability, please give to them so other people across the country can be helped out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will have the candidates for City Council. They've been sitting here this entire time. In many ways, it's good training for those long meetings that they're trying to win office for a moment. And we're going to hear a short description about the youth ambassadors.
Hello, as I said, my name is Claire Cossum, and I am the president of the Youth Ambassadors at Pacific Grove. And a little bit about us is that we started about 3 years ago, all started by community members. One of us here today, Mrs. Evans, who's actually a teacher here. And so it's a community-based organization for Pacific Grove high schoolers and teenagers. We have a couple homeschooled kids. And the goal of our program is to improve our public speaking and our leadership and teamwork skills. We host multiple events around the community that we plan, and we also volunteer at various events such as this. So we get so many awesome opportunities to learn about our community and connect more with it. And we've done a lot of good for the community. We brought back the pep parade. We had our big summer event, Summer Lights, down at Lovers Point. So we're happy with the progress that we've made and how we've united our community so far. And each youth ambassador also gets to choose a local organization that they're passionate about, that they can champion and share information about and help spread awareness about and follow their passion. So we're happy that we've had so much support from the city and from the school board for our organization, and we're excited to continue growing. And thank you so much for allowing us to have this opportunity tonight.
Thank you. So we'll now have opening statements of 2 minutes each. We'll start with Luke and then go down from left to right for a 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you, Dennis. My name is Luke Coletti. I went through all the PG schools, including Robert Down. I think the last time I was here, though, I was watching a moon landing, so it's been a while. But I am glad to be here. I am running for re-election because I want to continue to preserve the residential character of our community and the unique quality of life we share. I will represent the interests of residents and neighborhoods, protect our natural environment, pursue affordable housing opportunities, and help our managers and consultants understand the needs and values of our community. As I mentioned, I'm a lifelong resident of Pacific Grove and current City Council member. For the past 4 years, I have diligently pursued policies and reforms to provide Pacific Grove residents a more responsive local government. This includes my work on the council subcommittee to select a new city manager. I have authored over a dozen ordinances and policies covering government reform, the environment, land use, transparency, and finance. Prior to being elected to the City Council, I helped author Measure M, a successful citizens initiative that limits short-term vacation rentals. As far as priorities, we must prioritize the upkeep of our city, including our business districts. This means better maintenance, landscaping, and repair of city assets. We must improve our roads and sidewalks and promote traffic safety. It's time to get back to the basics. And in addition to that, I think we do need to prioritize our recreation program. Growing up in Pacific Grove, we had an outstanding recreation program. From day to evening, the kids were able to engage and get things, a lot of exciting activities. We had a rec club that was well-staffed and the kids would participate in. So that's something the city could collaborate with with the school districts to bring back, because I think that really is lacking from what I remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello and good evening, everyone. I appreciate everybody coming in here. I understand this is a historic occasion, so congratulations. And I do want to recognize the PTA and Ms. Whining, etc., who are here, who have made this historic event happen. I'm fortunate to be actually a part of Pacific Grove itself, and I'm fortunate to have served the citizens of Pacific Grove for the past 4 years. In a council member capacity, I have brought forward partnerships such as Blue Zones Monterey County to the table. I have supported initiatives that benefit families, businesses, as well as the entire community, and all of this while keeping the staff morale high. As a member of both the board as well as the executive board of the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, I have put Pacific Grove on the map at a regional level, and I have brought in $5 million in safety improvements to the town. I'm a banker by profession. I co-chair charitable giving for the bank's foundational arm in the Tri-County market of Monterey, San Benito, and Santa Cruz. And in that endeavor, I've had the opportunity to connect with several nonprofits and really understand the value of what they bring to the table. I'm a board member for a nonprofit called Monterey Bay Fisheries Trust, which is advocating for food sustainability in the broader area. Last but not the least, I live with my mom, my wife, and 3 young children. All the 3 young children going to Pacific Grove school districts. And I can just say that there's no shortage of action in my household. I mention all of these to you really to let you know that in addition to my diverse background, I bring all of these experiences together to make Pacific Grove a welcoming town for all of us and to improve the quality of life for each one of us. I am really honored to be here, and I'll be honored with your vote. Thank you.
I know I'm not supposed to say thank you, but I can't help myself. Thank you to the PTA, to the timekeeper of the League of Women Voters, to the parents and the kids here that are playing a role in our democracy, and it's really awesome. These questions have been very well thought out, and I'm super impressed by these young folks. You know, I know how important young families are to this town. It's important that we find solutions that help us to keep young families in Pacific Grove, because without you, the town will not survive. To give students something to come back to once you've finished college or trade school, we need to make sure that all of our students have safe schools and parks and a fully funded rec department. That's why I'm running for city council, to help be the best city for all the residents, even the youngest ones among us that can't vote. So I do thank them very much. Just a little bit about myself. I fell in love with Pacific Grove at a very young age. My family lived here. I moved here the minute I could. I stayed here until my job said I had to go away for a vacation. And 19 years later, we bought a tiny house and we fixed it up and moved here to make PG our forever home. And I love this town, I love the community, I love the people, I love the landscape, and I look forward to making PG the best place that we can be, especially for our young families.
I'm Paul Walkingston. I wanted to also thank the Robert County PTA, the youth ambassadors, the League of Women's Voters, and Darla Lang for putting this on tonight. It's great. And I wanted to thank the audience for giving your evening and caring enough about your community to show up. My qualifications are, I've got an MBA, I've got a project management certification, I've been a program and project manager on projects from millions to billions. I currently work for the Indian Health Services, helping to provide top quality health care to over 1,000 Native American health clinics and hospitals. I volunteer all I can in the community, restoring our canopy, doing reforestation efforts, weeding efforts, anything outdoors that's necessary, and doing special events over at the Museum of Natural History. This is actually a really exciting evening for me. although my wife and I began our life together here, our married life together here in 2007, my grandparents had actually moved here from back in the Depression. They had to leave Oklahoma in search of work out here in California. They worked in the orchards, the fields, just experienced extreme hardship. And then when soon after my dad was born over in Salinas, they then had 4 children, grandparents divorced, low point of the story. But then met my step-grandfather, and they were married and they moved here to Pacific Grove. This is where they began their married life, and their entire lives turned around. This is where they, for the first time in their lives, experienced a community that was kind and warm and welcoming, and they had their new start. And they had 3 more children, so they had a house full of 7 kids here in PG, and every one of them started school right here at Robert Down. So this is my first time being in the auditorium here at Robert Down, and it's kind of fun to imagine that this is where they started too.
And for the first question, Claire is going to ask it, and she's also going to tell us what she's going to do next year.
Hello, Claire Cossum again. What I'm doing next year, currently applying to college, and hopefully I'm going to study mechanical engineering and then go on to find my niche and be happy and creative the rest of my life. My question is, school principals are very big proponents of regular attendance, as am I. Perfect attendance all of elementary school and most of high school. But what is your commitment to attendance as a member of the City Council?
Thank you for that interesting question, Claire. I can tell you, first of all, good luck with your future endeavors. And I would say that essentially speaking, with the advent of COVID, it has made it, I would say, somewhat simpler for council to attend. And it's not just council attendance in person. You can also attend council remotely. You need to follow certain stipulations, but essentially you can fulfill the obligation of attending either in person or remotely. And from that standpoint, even though I have listed a number of kind of criteria that I'm currently serving or I'm a part of, I've taken advantage of that kind of facility to make myself available for all council meetings and several board meetings that happen all throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I didn't want to say it out loud, but I am retired. And so I know I look too young for that, but so I think one of the reasons that I am comfortable with dedicating the time for this is I have the time. So I think it's important that you attend all of the meetings as well as the boards and commissions that you're assigned to, the county boards and advisory committees that you're assigned to. And I think that's part of the commitment, and that's the commitment that you make when you run. So for me, I think perfect attendance is just the minimum acceptable requirement.
Thank you, Claire, and good luck with your mechanical engineering career. My commitment is 100% attendance, barring, hopefully, any major health concerns or anything like that. But as was pointed out, there are means if you are off-site to still attend. But this is a matter of commitment, and I believe that everybody up here is 100% committed to the job, 100% committed to their community. I'm no different from now. So yeah, I will be 100% there. If there is some major reason I can't be, I can still attend electronically. So, thank you.
Well, I have 100% perfect attendance on council, so that's a gold star for me. But more than being just there, you have to be present. Yeah. And being present means being well prepared. And I think that's kind of what I'm known for. I'm known for doing the research necessary for helping direct council, because I can ask the questions based on the research I've done that help drives the council discussion. It may not necessarily go the way I want it, but oftentimes it actually does. And I think that's what's more important, is being present based on doing the research before the meeting.
But first, we are going to have Reese introduce herself again and say what she's doing next year.
Hi guys, Reese again. So I'm also a senior right now, so I'm applying to colleges, and I'm looking to major in political science and dual minor in gender studies and Jewish studies. And I want to be a public defender, hopefully, in the future. So that's what I'm up to right now.
The next question is going to be asked by Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Engelhorn again. I'm also a senior at Pacific Grove High School, so I'm hoping to go to college somewhere in California. I'm applying to a lot of the UCs and CSUs, so that's fun. And I hope to major in psychology and help with the mental health crisis currently going on. So my question is one asked to the mayors. When faced with a decision where public opinion is divided, how do you ensure your decision aligns with your leadership values while considering the community's needs?
Thank you, Olivia. That's a great question. I think that's one of the things about being on the city council is you have to listen to the input that you get. But at the end of the day, whether it's a long-term decision or a short-term decision, you have to make the best decision that you can for the city and for its residents. And so I think when you put it out to public opinion, everybody knows that this town, we have a lot of feelings here, and a lot of feelings get heard. And I think that's a good thing. I think the amount of public engagement that we have is really terrific. And I think a lot of cities would love to have their residents care as much as our residents do. So for me, I think you do need to listen to all of those opinions, but at the end of the day, you have to make the best decision that you believe is best for the city, long-term and short-term.
This is actually an excellent question, and we've had disagreement come up as a theme quite a bit tonight. First of all, I think disagreement is good. It's fundamentally good. We don't want meetings where everybody agrees right off the bat. What we want is a diversity of opinion, a diversity of views, so that we can get a better understanding of the issue from a variety of angles. When we have more opinions, when we have more discussion, when we have more expertise, hey, there we go, brought to bear on the issue, we're able to better understand it and understand what the challenges and the opportunities are. And from that, we can then align those options that start manifesting themselves, making themselves available, and align our options with our priorities and make the best decision for the community. So how does that align with my leadership values? I believe that a leader's job is to facilitate discussion and problem solving.
I think this is very similar to the last question, actually, and it's about being prepared. So disagreement with information, a reasoned discussion about facts, that's great. That's what we need. We need more of it. It's when you kind of get into disagreements about opinion, not necessarily being well informed, that things get off the tracks. And so I advocate for doing the research before the meeting, because once you're up on the dais, it's a very different environment. And there's not as much opportunity just to maybe relax, let yourself be maybe a little more exposed in exposing, in espousing your ideas and whatnot. So the best thing you can do is to have preparation. And then you can have a discussion with your colleagues. And disagreement's fine. To be quite honest, this current council, we're very respectful of each other. I always listen. And if there's good information, I always let the best idea win. And I think that's key.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question. I would say on the topic of disagreements, I actually agree with all of my colleagues over here on how this needs to go. I would say, generally speaking, it's good that, and I'm going to use what others have done here on the dais, which is we need to hear more opinions and thoughts. That's really a constructive dialogue towards a solution. And in order for doing that, we need to have more representation at the council level. And so I would encourage you to vote no to Z, because that is actually reducing council size and reducing council representation. I encourage you to vote no to Z. Thank you.
And the last question will be asked by Meredith.
Hi, my name is Meredith Evans, and as a senior, I'm applying to many in-state and out-of-state schools, and I hope to major in sports journalism and broadcasting. My question is, how would you promote our city as a more family-friendly community, and what specific initiatives would you champion to support working families and their children?
Promoting Pacific Grove as a family-friendly community is probably the easiest job in the world. So the goal would be to maintain our tight community bonds that we share now, the safety and security of our community, and keep our small town charm, our small town feel, and that neighborly sense of community that we all share with one another. There is an intense love for this community within the community, and that's not just for the buildings, that's not just for the streets, and it is for the people themselves. And so, although we disagree sometimes passionately, because we love this town and your passion is in proportion to your love, we all come from the same place on that. So, affordable housing needs to get drastically addressed. We need to make sure that we are doing our after-school programs and continuing the efforts that have been begun with the recreation department. Thank you.
Well, rec programs. We used to have it nailed when I was growing up. Not so much anymore. And it was very much a collaborative effort between the school district and the city. And I think we have the model figured out. It's just for some reason we haven't been able to reestablish that cooperation, that vision that used to exist in the city to help basically engage our kids. And I think also, you know, the city, it was brought up in an earlier session about an arts program. Well, you know, the city actually has on the books an arts commission. We just don't staff it. We don't appoint people from the city to be on our arts commission. And if there's one thing that can bridge, you know, generations, it's the arts. So I would like to see the city once again reactivate the Arts Commission to also collaborate with the school district on that, and also just bring back more rec programs. It's really that simple.
Thank you for the question. I can tell you out of my own family, when I came to Pacific Grove, the first #1 question everybody asked me was, where can I go to get ice cream? And guess what? We really don't have a shop like that in town to get some basic things for kids. And most of the time we find ourselves going to nearby cities to get the stuff that we want. And that's really my view when I am on council, is I like to support any kind of initiative which involves younger families, and which that could be recreational activities, that could be housing, you name a topic. When we talked about the arts district, one of the things that I would like to have in town is actually a theater, like a music theater in town that could encourage arts itself, etc. But all in all, I'm supportive of all of these causes. I do want all of you to realize that everything requires money, and so therefore I'm going to be supporting any revenue streams that the city can build upon to ensure that we have this. Thank you.
I think we do need better services. We need better recreation. I agree with Councilmember Coletti that we need a more robust recreation department, and I've heard stories about how great it used to be, and I think we can do that again. Safe schools is a way to promote folks to want to come here, and a way to promote our values here in PG. And I think adding housing and affordable housing and housing security for seniors all has to be a part of that. And if we want to attract the best teachers, we're going to have to do something about the housing situation to make it more affordable. So for me, everything centers around prioritizing our young families and our kids. And thank you again, all of you.
Okay, thank you for that round of questions. We're now going to the closing statements. It will start with Paul, then go to Tina, Chaps, and with Luke. But before we go to that, I'd like to ask our students to stand and get a round of applause.
More than ever, this election is about the future of Pacific Grove. We've couched the discussion in terms of affordable housing, climate change, but what we're really talking about is what kind of Pacific Grove are we going to have in the future? How livable is it going to be? Who will be able to afford to live here? And will we even be able to recognize it? I want us to be able to meet our challenges while preserving our small town character, our neighborhoods, and I believe that if we continue to pull together as a community that I know we are, we can maintain a bright future for our community and maintain our small town values and our character. Thank you.
Thank you again for, Darla, thank you for putting this on. It's been a great event, and I know this is a hard time because, you know, bedtime, snack time, dinner time, bath time, and so maybe we can look to find a time to do this again when it's a better time for more families. But I also hope that we've given you a reason to vote and a reason to vote for us. The kids are so important, the young families are so important to our town, and we need to support you. That's the bottom line. A strong school district is important to our town. It helps make PG a desired place to live. It stabilizes our housing. There are a lot of advantages to it. And although it's the school board that governs, as a city council, we need to support PG schools in every way possible. And that includes ensuring secure schools, updated parks, and recreation. And so, all of that being said, please vote no on Z, yes on B.
Thank you to all that organized this event. And when I heard all of you guys mentioning your future kind of path trajectories, I wish I had that kind of like foresight when I was your age. I can tell you that I'm going to take that back to my kids and tell them what I heard. All in all, this has been a fantastic opportunity for us to connect, and I realized that I didn't introduce myself. So I'm Chaps Paduri. I'm running for Pacific Grove City Council. My website is chapsforpg.com. If you wish to know more about me, please write to me. If you want to know what my priorities are, they're on my website. If you wish to see who has endorsed me, they're on my website. Please continue to vote and vote no and see. Thank you.
Well, first I want to thank the youth ambassadors. I'm a big supporter, and Michelle Evans and Christine Gruber have done a fantastic job guiding these children through their high school years, and they've been a tremendous asset to the community, and I thank them. My father, I mentioned, I think maybe my father taught in the school district. He was one of the co-founders of community-centered high school, so I've got a very deep respect for the character that comes out of the community through our school districts, and I certainly support it. I also want to recognize that this council, over the past 4 years, while I've been on council, has done a tremendous amount of good. We've hired a new city manager, we've hired a new city attorney, and we've turned the ship around. And I want to spend the next 4 years helping the new city manager deliver the basic services that you pay through your tax dollars and have an expectation. I think there's been a backlog. There's been a lot of things that haven't gotten done, and I'm committed to seeing that they do get done, and our new city manager as well. And I am a big supporter of Measure Z. More is not always better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you for attending. I hope this will be the beginning of a new tradition with the PTA. Thank you to Darla and Amy, and thank you everyone for coming.